Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited to have on today Chris Gronkowski. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm trying to eat a protein cookie as we're talking, so
All good, man.
I had a good workout this morning, did some legs, and I'm hungry.
All good, brother. All good, brother. There's so many layers of you. And when we always start the conversation, I always like our audience to get to know where you currently are in your life, business-wise, not. And then we'll just let the conversation flow from there and talk about family, talk about kids, talk about whatever whatever the topic gets to. So currently your actual main business is Ice Shaker, correct?
Correct.
And you're moving to a bigger facility. Let's talk about the journey with that. When did it all start and how is it all going right now?
Yeah, man, it's been fun. For me, it started back in, 2016. I was here in Texas. I was working out. It was super hot out. And, I was at work. I had one cup. I went home. I grabbed another shaker bottle, and I brought it to the gym. It was sweating everywhere. It was warm by the time I got there. I took a sip, and it smelled awful. And I'm like, man, I just want one bottle I can use all day, every day. Keep it cold, bring it to work, bring it to the gym, and, it doesn't smell awful. So it was kind of just this journey for myself to make an awesome bottle I could use all day, every day. And it started as a side hustle, and 6 months in, got onto ABC Shark Tank and just became a full-time business overnight.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is some of the best companies or businesses always are found on a need or a niche of something you find that you can improve or better on, which is cool. So let's dive into that journey. So to get onto Shark Tank, how's the application process? Was it more, I mean, obviously with the family name and your achievements as an athlete, was it easier to get on, or you had to go through the same process?
So normally you have to go to like a trade show and you got to try out and you got to do all this crazy stuff. And I got lucky. I had an email when I was playing in 2012 when I was with the Broncos, and it was from my agent, and it simply said, hey, Shark Tank is looking for any current or former NFL players to come on the show. So at that time, I loved the show. I was like, man, that's so cool. One day I'm going to write back to this email, right? And that one day ended up being almost 5 years later when I thought of this idea. In the back of my mind, it was going to be a play for Shark Tank the whole time, but I didn't want to reach out right away. So I waited. I got about 3 months worth of sales in, and we were up to like 25 grand, but I just wanted to have some kind of proof of concept at that point. And then I reached out, and the lady emailed me back. It's 4 or 5 years later, and she's like, hey, sorry, I don't work there anymore. I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And at that point, I got lucky because within 10 minutes, she's like, but I did find the girl who took my spot, and here's her email. So reached out to her. She wrote back. She said, we'd love to get a submission video, and kind of sent over kind of what they were looking for in that video. So, of course, it was kind of like this one shot, one opportunity. I had to go all out, made this ridiculous video. I knew it was all about entertainment. So I wanted to make it as entertaining as possible, and made this video where I'm like ripping off my shirt. I'm crushing weights, chugging protein shakes, and, it worked. It worked in that, and with the family name as well, I'm sure it helped a lot. And the whole point of them reaching out in the beginning was they're trying to build their fan base as well, and it's an entertainment show, so they want people that are going to pull more fans in and more audience in. So definitely had a huge advantage there. But at the same time, you have to have something that's legit, and there's no point of going on the show if you're not going to benefit from it anyway. So I wanted to make sure we had something that was awesome and that we could really build on. And that from that point on, it was almost 3 to 4 months later of just, getting ready for the show, background checks, everything you could possibly think of, to get prepared. I did, from watching like every single episode, writing everything down, and, finally got there. And even with that, day of, you can record, and if you just don't do good, you don't do well on TV. If it's not a good episode, you might never air. So
yeah, 100%.
You have to ball out.
Over 60-70% of the SG episodes never air.
Yeah, I think it's actually opposite. So I think like 60 to 70% air and like 30% don't.
Okay.
Is kind of what it is. But even when you get there, the gap, I guess, becomes bigger, because even when you get there, sometimes you don't get a chance to actually pitch. If they have a really good showing for that day, they might just boot you to the next. The first person I saw at the hotel, he was pacing back and forth. He was all nervous, and he ran up to me right away and was like, hey, man, when are you supposed to pitch, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, I think today. And he was like, oh, they told me that last year and I never pitched.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm back another year. So, yeah, like it gets crazy. And, there's a lot on the line for a lot of people that have put sometimes a life's worth of work into it. And, this could be a game changer for them, and they just don't get that opportunity. So I was lucky, once they said that they wanted my whole family there, it was kind of like this given that we were going to at least film and then probably air as well. So I got all the bros in, and it was game time, man. We ended up being the first pitch of the day, and everything went well. And from there, it was just it was a good ride, man.
So let's talk about, there's a whole bunch of things I want to talk about. I don't want to focus just on the Shark Tank, but let's just talk about one little aspect of the Shark Tank. You always hear a lot of pitches that get Ashley picked, or one of the sharks Ashley puts an offer and everything happens, but when the lights come off, the cameras shut off, the actual deal never happens. So what was the process once you left her to actually complete the deal? You did actually complete a deal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
With Mark Cuban and Damon, or just Mark Cuban? So
it was Mark Cuban and Alex Rodriguez was a guest.
Oh, it was A-Rod. Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
But yeah. After that, I mean, they do their due diligence. So, if you go on there and you say you have $1 million in sales, you better have $1 million in sales. Yeah. If you say you have this unbelievable patent, they're going to check on it, and they're going to make sure that it's, that it's legit. So, everything that you say on the pitch, they have to then verify. And they also put some pretty strict term sheets on me as well. So, if you're a fairly well-off business, sometimes these terms can kill the deal for you because, as a high-profile shark, they're going to put stuff in there to protect themselves.
Of course.
And they're also going to put things in there to let themselves, off if they need to as well, to easily walk away and separate themselves from the company. So, they definitely get a lot more power, a lot more control than a normal deal.
Yeah.
And with that, if you're a well-established company and you already have other investors, you can't just let them come in and get these, preferred shares and all these other benefits that the initial investors didn't get. So, with that, a lot of people walk away just because the terms are a little bit steeper than they normally should be. And a lot of times you just can't pass that by your previous investors or really justify it. So, for me, it was, 6 months in, nothing to lose situation.
Yeah.
So even though these terms were pretty rough, it was always kind of that, what if I don't do it, what's going to happen? So for me, I thought it was a pretty easy decision because it was a side hustle for me at the end of the day. I wasn't doing it for the money. My wife had started a business when I left the NFL, and I had been doing that for 5 years, and we were making more money doing that than playing football. So at that point, it was really a passion for me. It was more of a side hustle, and it was kind of this opportunity to just take something I love and do it for the rest of my life. So I jumped in on it and had no problem accepting the terms at that point.
Yeah, 100%, because you're so fairly new too. So like I said, what you've built, you could have duplicated and built something else if it didn't work out anyhow, right? Let's talk quickly. There's two things I want to talk about. You just talked about there. One, your wife's business that you guys are doing. I want to jump into that. But prior to that, with the manufacturing aspect of it, so you went all out, and why I'm going to talk about this, I don't know if you did any research on me. Like I'm a branding guy, so I built a whole bunch of companies. My main company is called Comore, where I manufacture and design and manufacture, and we have our own factory for boxing martial art equipment. We've been doing that for 15 years. So that's one of the things we do, and we deal with about 1,800 gyms. So that is one of the aspects. So I understand the whole manufacturing aspect. So when you were designing this, and you obviously wanted to create something that was a higher performance product that obviously, she said, didn't sweat, that would keep the shake cooler on a longer period of time. What was the actual process? Did you hire somebody to help you, or did you start this process on your own and trying to figure out, like, what was your process when you first started? Because it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I did it all myself. I really did everything myself at the beginning, the entire business. So everything from sourcing product to customer service, marketing, engraving, shipping,
I love that. I love
building the website. Every aspect I did myself
to
start the company. So it was brutal, man. And you don't know what you don't know. So our first shipment came in and it was trash. I mean, we had 10,000 bottles come in. An issue we never had was leaking out of the pop top. And, of course, the first shipment that came in, half the bottles leaked out of the pop top. So first 10,000 bottles I had to go through in the upstairs of my house and change out every single lid and throw the rest of them out because I couldn't tell the difference between the two. So half of them were good, half were bad, but I couldn't tell which ones were and which ones weren't without putting water in it and shaking it. So it was a great start to the company, man. It was brutal. So, from there it was kind of, you better learn really quickly how to source product, how to bring in third parties to check it, and also write a contract where the manufacturer is responsible for replacing defective goods. So yeah, man, it's not easy. And, you know, you figure everything out as you go. And I wish I knew all this stuff back then, but I know it now.
But that's what makes you a strong entrepreneur, I find, is just your learning curves, right? As long as all those lessons you learned, you don't make the damn mistake twice, you're on the good side, right? And it's just learning curves, and you become, every little lesson multiplies so much more because you understand more about the manufacturing, more about contracts, more about everything. So I appreciate that. How many renditions are you on this actual ice shaker? Like how many new designs have you come to this point? So we're looking at how many years now?
Yeah, so we're going in really Shark Tank aired October 17. So, you know, we're going towards the 4th year anniversary of Shark Tank. Yeah. And, you know, with that, we're probably, I guess, almost a year 5, but started with just a basic bottle. You know, I basically took a regular bottle and just put a shaker top on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, from there, it then was all the feedback and trying to improve it and features people wanted. And so we made a second version that released right before Shark Tank hit. And then with that, you know, it had the agitator to blend. It had a little, I guess, lanyard on it that would help you carry it, and you could attach it to your bags and stuff, but it kept snapping because people would like pick it up and they try to rip it out of their cup holder. Was the worst part. So stick it in the cup holder, get stuck in there, and they rip it as hard as they could with this you know, silicone lanyard, and it would just snap. And they would immediately email us and tell us that, you know, they need a new one, and it just became this massive expense for us. So we then at that point completely remade the lid and patented it, where, you know, we have this twist and agitator, and we have a bucket handle on it now, so you can't snap the handle anymore, and super durable. And you know, that was our third make of it. So that came out January 2020 was when we released the third version, and we've had that for a year now. And it's a product now that you know, we think is a pretty good build, and we're pretty satisfied with at this point. So
with the pandemic, you said that came out January 20. The fitness industry is one of the industries that, as a gym side, because we wholesale directly to gyms. So we deal with about 1,800 gyms, like I said, in North America. So we deal directly to wholesale gyms. So that aspect of the business died, and we had to almost assess and reshift our business to go direct to consumer. Your business, I'm assuming, and I'm just going to assume this, Ashley probably did very well during this period with people working out and stuff, or did it take a hit? So what's interesting is, you know, the first 2 weeks, I think everyone took a hit, and everyone was scared, and it went down. And you know, at that point, what ended up happening was, you know, everyone actually needed a water bottle. You know, you couldn't use a water fountain anymore. You didn't want to share a bottle with anybody at sports games, at school, anything like that. So it almost became a necessity overnight. And we saw that, you know, that change. So we were worried as well, because we do sell to a lot of gyms. They were all getting shut down. You know, we sell a lot of bottles to Lifetime Fitness. We're in all the supplement stores, the GNCs, the vitamin shops. They were all, you know, pretty much, they were done. You know, no one was going to stores. So we're definitely worried, but we are really strong B2C, and the bottle just became kind of a necessity. So we had a really good year at the end of the year, you know, by the end of all this, and it continues to do really well for us. And I can see that definitely continuing with or without the gyms being open or closed. Yeah, I love that. Now, quick question too is, I see, and this is the last thing we're going to talk about shaker. I want to talk about other stuff, but with the ice shaker, with one part you guys are doing now is the customization of it. Yeah, that's how I kind of connected with you, and I saw something, and I tried to connect you with Mike Diamond and all that. With the actual customization, that's something as a brand I shifted towards customization about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And I found there was a need for gyms, and we do all the custom, we outfit a gym from start to end with all branded stuff. And we do about 75 gyms a month now. And when we were doing that, I found there was such a need. People wanted the branding and wanted to understand branding. So I love that you shifted onto that. How long have you been doing that? And do you do it in volume, or do you do it more personal one-on-one? Like how where's the extent of level of that?
Yeah, so it all stemmed from my wife's business. So that's what she started, and that's what I was doing for the 5 years previously. But yeah, we went right into laser engraving and customized gifts, and it was mostly the wedding industry, but really any holidays as well. It did really well for us. But with that kind of transferred over to Ice Shaker. So we've always offered personalization.
Oh, very cool.
We just started to really push it a lot more because we realized that it's a huge separator, and people do want to build their brand, and it gives us this huge opportunity to really sell into any industry.
Yeah.
And we're considered a shaker bottle, but once you put any type of logo on it, it then becomes a great customer gift at any level, because everyone's trying to live a healthier, more active lifestyle, and they want to promote that to their customers and to their employees as well. So customization has been huge. At first we tried to stay away from it because it's hard work. It really is to be able to offer each and every bottle with a custom logo on it. But at the end of the day, it's a huge separator for us. Even if it's small quantities, we offer it, no MOQs, and we offer it at good pricing as well, because we know once you get one in your hand, someone's going to see it, they're going to want it as well. And so it just builds from there. So that's been a big push for us in 2020, and will continue to be throughout this year as well. And I think that's going to be a huge staple of our business.
I love that.
We turn quick though. I guess to answer your question is, everything's also done for the most part within 2 business days.
Good.
So even orders of 100 to 200 bottles we're doing here in house, and it's getting turned within usually within a couple of days, and usually getting it within a week. So
which is pretty amazing.
It's just a speed
our
thing.
customization. I mean, our minimals are up there, and we do a lot of private licensing as well, but everything's done at our factories overseas. So you're looking at about a 6-week window. Even if we DHL it here, you're looking at a 6-week window. So having anything in a week span of customization, the only thing we do that aspect is apparel, but that's such a small part of our business, right? So yeah, that's really, really quick turnaround, which is really, really good for businesses, especially if there's anything. It could be a golf tournament, it could be a live event or anything like that. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, with your business, Ice Shaker, is there any plans expanding? And this will be our last question. Is there any plans expanding into other products at this point?
Yeah, there definitely is. We have a product line built out, and we do have new stuff coming in. So we will bring in. It's kind of like a 12 ounce. We call it like a Campanion. So we'll fit a can in it. So something like a Fit Aid, Red Bull, anything like that will fit into it. But it also is a tumbler as well. So it'll keep hot and cold. A great coffee cup, great little just cup around the house as well. So that will be entering this year as well, springtime. And then we have a big jug coming. So we saw a need for a half-gallon, full gallon. We do have that coming in, and that kind of stems off the sports background when my brother's in Tampa, and he's telling me that he has to bring 3 shakers with him to get through a practice with Tom Brady. So I'm like, it's time for a jug, man. That's the next step. So we do have that coming. I think it's a huge play with youth sports as well. And we built it out with a lid that you could either pour with or you could sip out of as well with a straw. So youth sports, a kid that's maybe 8 to 10 could actually pick it up and just hold it to his mouth instead of trying to tip it up, which is extremely difficult for a younger kid to do. So we'll definitely bring that in. And then there's plans further, but at this point, I think that we're not even close to saturated in our market that we're currently in. And we have a lot of great winning products. So to me, I don't feel like you need to keep building out when you have a winner that still hasn't saturated the market yet. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. And you're still, and you're still, I mean, you're doing an amazing job. You're still building, you're actually still building the brand as well, right? So, which is a big part of it as well, which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
So let's talk quickly into the business you and your wife were in. You said it was customization for wedding and event gifts and all that. When did that start? And is that still actually happening?
Yeah. So we're actually still we're in the same building together at this point. And started in 2012, and really started because I went to 4 teams in 4 years, and she didn't want to look for another job everywhere that she went. So she was sick of applying, getting a new job every year, and just said she was going to find a way to work from home. So started with hand painting wine glasses. She put them in the oven. I'd come home, I'd be pissed. I'm like, this is the stupidest idea ever. And they just kept selling, man. So she had to find a way to scale it, started doing vinyl. And then after that, it was kind of like, wow, there's really something here. Let's put some time and effort into it. Let's start sourcing our own products. Let's build a brand. Let's invest in commercial grade laser engravers and cutters. And it just exploded from there. So in my off season, I would come help her out. And then really I was going into my last year, and I had a bunch of time before I resigned, and really looked into it and found out, this is a great market that we could really explode. And so I started putting a lot of time and effort into that, and got signed, got hurt in camp, and that was it for me. So went full time into that and just started building it out, and became super successful because it was something where we turned everything quick. The goal was 1 to 2 days. And at that time, it was more like 2 to 3 weeks for anything personalized anywhere. So we offered great pricing, fast turnaround time. It just organically exploded.
What's the name of the company?
It's called Everything Decorated.
Okay.
We use the Etsy platform.
Okay, very cool.
To really build it. So
a lot of people use the Etsy platform. That's a massive thing for a lot of artists and individuals like that do it. It's just such a great outlet. It's a great platform.
Yeah, it's actually, and we've had our ups and downs with them. We started with them. It was huge. There was times where when you build out on someone else's platform and they want to limit you or they want to, give opportunity to smaller shops.
Yeah.
They completely cut out the big shops at one point and just crush our sales. So, at that point we had to figure out a way to make sure that never happened again, build our own website. And, now we drive traffic to both and we optimize both of them. So a lot of learning curves with that as well, and used a lot of that to help with Ice Shaker to really focus on building our brand and our own customer base instead of, going through something like Amazon.
Yeah. And I'm sure that business really did, like you said, it actually helped you with Ice Shaker. It gave you that understanding of manufacturing and supply chain and whatnot. So I appreciate that. You talked about something there, and I want to dive into it. And it's probably a question you get quite a bit, is that transition from pro athlete to civilian life in a way.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur. How was that? How was that mind wise, play wise? How did that affect you and change you as an individual?
Yeah, man. So, I watched a lot of teammates, family members, a lot of people go through the struggle, and it's a complete identity change. So, something you've done your whole life since you were in high school, some guys before that, completely is gone pretty much overnight. I got hurt in practice. I thought I was going to be the starter on the team that year. And the next day I'm signing with the injury release. And that's how it works, man. Never.
What injury did you have at the end there?
So at the end, I had a high ankle sprain in camp. So they gave me a 4-game injury settlement. And, I took that. It ended up being a 3-month injury. And then I tried to come back, had a tryout, and I ruptured my hamstring. So it was either have surgery, reattach it, or, just live life as a normal person, I guess. And so I chose not to have surgery, and I had the business that was doing well. So I moved on at that point. But it's almost a blessing in disguise, because it is hard to give something up that you love and that, there's a huge potential for money in as well. So for me, it was
I love the word that you use there. And I think a lot of athletes could relate to that. It's such a powerful word, as your identity. A lot of people get wrapped in a certain identity. And I think that's the biggest, scariest thing with athletes coming out of either high school or college, where their identity is that sport. Everybody knows them for that sport, and not even the pro. When you get a pro, it's a different level, because now you're financially rewarded from it. But a lot of youngsters, they build identity around that sport. And I don't know if you know, we're from Toronto, Canada, so it's hockey here and baseball and stuff. So you build your identity around the sport, and then all of a sudden you don't make it. And the numbers, what happened with your family and how you guys all made the NFL is that doesn't happen. And the reality is the numbers are so low, the percents are so low to get pro, and you build your identity around them. When they shift to not having that every day, they lose a lot of identity and mental health. There's other issues that come along. What advice would you give to a young individual that's in high school or that's in college now playing a pro sport? That reality is, with the odds, the chance of them making the pros are very limited. How do they shift their identity? How do they understand it in a way?
Man, it's hard. It's hard for me to tell as well, because I was always a guy that just never thought it would happen for me. So when I was in college, it was, I was there, I was having fun, man. And I was also trying to get the best degree that I could. So I went in, I was one of 2 players in the business school at Arizona. And I went and tried to get the hardest degree I can, which was accounting at that time. So left with accounting degree, with honor roll student. And I always thought that my next step was, the business world. I didn't think it was NFL. So my mindset was always, I know this is going to end soon. So it's hard for me to say, but for anyone that is in the league and then, getting ready to leave, what I think they need to do is, at that point, they're financially, for the most part, you're usually pretty set, and you have at least a little window where you can figure out what you want to do. And at that point, my suggestion for these guys has always been, find what you love doing for free, and then find a way to make money doing it.
Your passion.
It's kind of how I've been. And that's kind of what I did with Ice Shaker was, I'm going to the gym twice a day. How do I continue to do this, but make a business out of it? And for me, you got to kind of figure out the path. But for me, it was a shaker bottle. And that's kind of how I fell upon that. And I didn't need to do it. It was more of just a passion project for me. So that's what I tell guys that leave now. It's, you guys have the money. You're going to be working for a lot less. So find something that you love doing and then build it from there. And that's definitely my advice for anyone that's coming out of the NFL.
So let's talk about something I got a passion about. I don't know if you know that too, is I coach father entrepreneurs. I mean, dad entrepreneurs. That's what I focus on. I coach. That's my lane. You're a dad of 3?
Yep. Three boys, man.
So
yes, sir.
A lot of testosterone in the house. First off, what are their ages?
So 3, he's about to turn 4 in about a month. So 2-year-old, so about 2.5, and then a 7-month-old. So
they're all still quite young.
Oh yeah. It's a party, man.
That's a lot having them. So essentially 3. You didn't rest. That was like go. Your poor wife
wants one more, man. She wants one more.
She does, huh?
Wants one more. So we'll see. She wants that girl. So
I don't say shooting for that girl. That is awesome. Now with your boys, with your experience with the NFL and pro sports, is that something you'll encourage them to play, or is that something where whatever their passion takes that you'll just let them flow with it? Are you going to be into sports with them?
We'll definitely. I mean, I'll try to get them into sports for sure. But with people ask us all the time, how did we get into sports? Football wasn't even. We didn't play football until high school. It wasn't
Seriously,
something
huh?
It wasn't something like my dad. Like we grew up like, oh, we want to be these football players, anything like that. It was more something where my older brother did it, and I thought it was cool, and that's why I played. And he was also a beast, so it was kind of just natural that he was going to be a football player. So that's how it started. My oldest brother never played. Second oldest played, and he was the stud quarterback, and that's how we got into it. So my parents we played sports because that was the only way to control us and to get the energy out. So my mom never let us just sit there and watch TV or play video games. It was always, get outside, get in the basement, go play sports because you guys got way too much energy and I got to get this out of you so you go to sleep tonight. That's kind of where it all came from. And then naturally it was just so much competition because, you put 5 boys in the same room and then you bring all their friends over too, because we were kind of like that neighborhood where just like somehow it was just every single person had a kid that was our age and it was a boy. Yeah. And, every day was 8, 10 different kids over at our house. And we were just, we were playing something every single day. We were competing in everything that we did, from, backyard baseball to just even like eating food, man. Who could eat more? Like everything was just this all out competition, everything we did. And it just bred it. So for me with the kids, man, I can't tell them no. I would never take that away from them because I think football teaches you way more than just how to play the game. I mean, there's so many life lessons along the way, hard work and teamwork, dedication, and even just, multitasking, getting your homework done and then going to a sport. And there's just so much you learn from it that I think if I ever said no to my kids, that's just a disservice. That's what got me to where I am today. So I could never tell them no.
I think that you just nailed the nail on the head there. Is sports in general. I'm a huge component of sports, and I got a 14-year-old daughter that's a high level competitive dancer. My son plays competitive baseball. He's 12, and sports. I mean, my kids are. If you see my video feed, my kids are like workout fanatics. They get home and my daughter's 14 and she's running the treadmill for an hour. My son's getting ready. Like there's a little history there. My son was born with CP, cerebral palsy. He was supposed to be in a wheelchair, and 12 years ago, little history on myself. 12 years ago, he became my purpose, and I've switched my schedule. I switched my shift, and my schedule is built around my family now. And for 12 years, I dedicated to getting him into walking, into AFOs. So he got from wheelchair to AFOs. He's supposed to be on to AFO's braces till he was 19. At 12 years old, he's out of his AFOs, and I post videos all the time. He's getting ready to run his first marathon. So he's my purpose, right? So sports is a huge aspect of our life, and fitness and working out. And as a family, we're very active together. So I appreciate that because it teaches them so many more lessons, but it's also that confidence, that drive, that passion you have for being fit and healthy. And that's something we're going to dive into now. Is fitness I always put fitness. Even though family is a huge component of my life and business, and I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, but fitness is the top of my pinnacle at all times, because you can have the Porsche in a driveway, but if you don't have your health if you're in the hospital, it means nothing. So I always put fitness, myself and my fitness level above everything else to be at a level of fitness, and then everything else falls under it. So I appreciate that. So fitness is a huge part of who you are. And it's something where you post tons of videos of working out and not only business wise, but on a personal level. Where does fitness drive for you? Like, how important is it part of you, and how does it impact the rest of your life?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it right on the head. You have to take care of yourself first. You have to take care of your health, and that's what it is for me. You know, I'm waking up every day, and I started with a workout, man. It just, everything good comes from it. You know, I feel great. I get energized. I feel like I accomplished something, which I think is huge as well. You know, you start the day like, hey, I got something done. I took care of myself, and I think that just springboards you into the rest of the day. So I've always been a huge fan of fitness, and I just don't feel right unless I do it as well. It's kind of this mental game for me. It's my stress reliever. And it's also the time when I think of all my ideas, you know, in between sets, or, you know, you're on a treadmill. It's kind of that downtime. And it's kind of like when you're taking a shower or driving, when you really just, you go into this deep state where you start thinking of cool ideas and stuff to do for the day. And that's kind of when I start planning out stuff, and I think of the best ideas. So the shaker was actually created and thought of while I was doing a workout at the gym. So that's kind of my time, and my time to take care of myself. And I like encouraging others. And what I love about it is that when I do that, you know, it encourages me to continue going as well. So it's not this one-way street where, you know, they're getting all the benefit from it by doing my workout. You know, I'm getting a lot of benefit from it as well when I hear about it, because once they tell me they did it and they loved it and they crushed it, you know, it makes me want to do more. It makes me want to push them more, and it pushes me a lot more. So that's why I love posting, and just, I love building off the energy of everyone else as well.
Would it be something you're going to dive into? Is this kind of a little teaser? Is something you want to dive into, a fitness platform or something at one point?
Man, it's tough to tell. I think what it will end up being is, as my kids get older, I think one of the things and one of my goals is to really build out a platform for them, which I think will then lead to bigger things. I know as high school kids, my dad brought in a speed coach for us. And when he did that, it took us to a whole nother level. You know, I wouldn't have made it to the Division I level, let alone the NFL, if I didn't have someone come in and properly train me on running form and agility, and really just get my speed up, because speed's everything. You know, speed and agility, quickness, your feet, you know, ton of ladder drills, a ton of speed drills, just arm drills, just how to move your body correctly to optimize it to run as fast as you can. So stuff like that I think is huge. I think at an early age you can really, really benefit from it. Yeah. You know, you see kids grow, and, you know, my brother Rob was a great example. He grew so fast that, you know, he didn't really have control of his body for about a year. And, you know, at that point, when you train correctly and you learn how to shift your body and do these types of drills, there's tons of benefits from it. So that's something I think I'll get into as my kids get older, and I'm super, super passionate about.
Very, very cool. Yeah. I mean, there's great opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of people doing it, but I mean, with the world becoming so digital and so virtual, and with everything we've been through, I think it's shifted the way we look at fitness and how people train at home and stuff like that. So there's always a need for that, right? And obviously you're building with your videos you're doing on Instagram and all that, you're building an understanding of your knowledge first off, and second, obviously a fan base or a following, which could translate to that very quickly. So I appreciate that part as well. How long have you been married for?
Man, 5 years, man. 5 years, going on 6.
So you're still pretty fresh there. And obviously,
yeah, 5 years, 3 kids.
How old are you, Chris?
I'm 34.
34. So 5 years. You got 20. Yeah, I'm 29. I got married at 27. I'm 43. And yeah, I've been married for 17 years now. Fucking time flies, buddy.
Some good stuff, man. Some good stuff right there.
Man. You appreciate your kids, man. There's a little thing I always tell a lot of dads is a lot of people don't know is there's a stat. 80% of the FaceTime we spend with our children are before the age of 18.
Wow.
It's a crazy stat when you think about it, because we get so rattled on our lives and our business, and we're just go, and you don't appreciate the sit back and just appreciate the time you have with your kids. And being an entrepreneur, it should allow us to have more time. But at the end of the day, a lot of entrepreneurs are so focused on growing the business, they're driven with the business, not the actual time with the children. So a little thing I wanted to bring to you with your NFL. So you only have one brother left in the NFL, or?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
One playing. Yep.
One still playing, and you're hoping they can make it very far, so onto the second round. So see what happens with that. So with your other brothers, what career have they done? Are they entrepreneurs? Like where have they, since they've left their journey with the NFL?
Yeah. So my two oldest brothers went into the family business. So my dad's been in the fitness industry now for over 35 years, I think now. So second largest distributor in the U.S. And man, you got to talk to him. So probably help each other out here for sure. But G&G Fitness, he started it really out of a need just for us. He wanted some quality equipment to train us.
Repeat that again. What's the name of the company?
It's called G&G Fitness Equipment. And then
when did he start that? Like how many years ago was this?
I think it was 92 was when he started it.
So you were 92. Were you even born yet? No, you were born.
Yeah,
You're a kid still. You're a kid.
I was born in 86. So yeah, I was young, and I grew up in the family business. I was delivering treadmills when I was 15 years old.
Seriously,
and yeah, so I kind of got to see it grow from nothing to this powerhouse business now that it is. And my dad's helped me a lot with just business now as well, and structuring things and building out my business. And anytime I have questions, I lean on him because
I appreciate that. That's awesome. No, I had no idea about that. I mean, it's a different dynamic, right? You're growing up in an entrepreneurial, obviously, family. I come from a blue collar family. Besides my grandfather, I'm the only other entrepreneur in our family. So having that and growing up seeing that, there's so many probably indirect lessons you learned without even realizing that. I'm sure that now as your business goes on, you probably reflect on a lot of those memories, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it amazes me every year when I go back, because I learned something new. And I mean, it's a big business that he runs, and I think he has over 200 employees now. And
wow, so it is a good size.
So good size. And, I go back every year. I have a new question for him. And I just say, man, how did you figure this out? And he's like, you'll get there. You'll get there. It just takes time. So definitely amazing resource. And, with any business that you're running, you're going to run into, some tough times or some hard problems to solve. And everyone's seen it. When you're 30 years in, you've seen everything you could possibly see go wrong and go right at the same time. So just to have a resource like that it's invaluable.
Where do you live right now, Chris?
I'm right outside of Dallas, Texas.
Okay. So you're out of Texas, and you grew up in Texas as well, you said?
No, we're from Buffalo, New York, man. I was up in Canada all the time.
You're in Buffalo. You're in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
You just had to cross the border, man.
Yeah, so when I was 17.
So is your parents still in Buffalo?
So my dad's in Buffalo. His stores. He owns the Northeast territories for a lot of the big fitness equipment companies. So like the Life Fitness, Precor, True, Octane, like all the big dogs. He has exclusive rights to in the Northeast. So he can't really leave that territory, and he can't sell outside of that territory as well. So he's kind of stuck there, but he travels back and forth to Florida now as well.
Very, 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 very cool. And how long you been in Texas now for?
I've been here for 5 years, 6 years maybe.
Are you getting comfortable with the home there, or is something you're going to plan to stay there for a while?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll be here. We'll definitely looking to raise our kids here, and we'll be here for a while.
Yeah, Texas is taxes, business-wise, there's a lot of benefits. Weather, I mean, obviously growing up in Buffalo, what we're going through right now. Actually, It's been nice. It's actually been plus, like, we're from Toronto, Canada. It's been +8, +9 here. Like, it's not even cold. There's no snow on the ground, which is surprisingly. It's actually been decent January.
We got some snow yesterday, I think.
I saw that in Texas, huh?
Yeah, so it's bringing a little home down to Texas, but yeah, it's great, man. It's great with being centrally located as well. It's huge.
Are any of your brothers, any other family in Texas?
So my youngest brother, Glenn, is. So he came out here to help me out, and has since moved to another company that helps with event planning. And we had the Stadium Blitz event going on where it was an obstacle course race through a stadium, through NFL stadiums and college stadiums, and then COVID hit. So that all got shut down. But his company, they oversee a lot of other events as well.
So that was your event? Yeah,
that was our Stadium Blitz was our family event.
And how long has that been running? Was that the first year that was going to run, or you've been running for other years?
And that was we were on year, I guess we started the year before, so we're into the second year.
What's it called? What's it called again?
It's called Stadium Blitz.
Very good.
And, got shut down. We did 3 events in 2020, and then COVID hit, and we had to shut it down.
Interesting. Is it like a mud run? Like what is give me an understanding of it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like any of the obstacle course races you see, but you're running as a fan through your favorite stadium. You're running through the locker room. You're seeing kind of the behind the scenes. In college, you're going to run through like the field house, like the practice facilities, and kind of see that as well. It depended how much the college opened it up, but sometimes you run around like the main square, or like the library, and run by all that as well. So it was kind of like this really cool scenic view. At the same time, you were also competing against the clock in an obstacle course race. So there was 15 obstacles that you go through as well.
Where'd you get, like, where did that come in your head? Like that's just another level of, I don't even know where you even start with that. I mean, the obstacle course, I could understand the sports part, but the actual library and the locker rooms. And so you're giving an almost like, to some fans, a lifetime opportunity to see these things that they would never see through. Didn't you not realize a lot of guys wouldn't even be racing the time? They'd be stopping to look at things.
That's what they did. It was great. It was different heats. So, if you wanted to compete, you could. If you were there as a fan and you just wanted to take pictures in the locker room, that's fine too. What was really cool about it was, as a competitor myself, for people, they never get to experience kind of those butterflies, right?
Oh, 100%.
So you walk out of the locker room, the lights are on, and you're at the starting line, and you're kind of like, you get that feeling, right? And you're like, man, I feel like my favorite players feel when they come out of the tunnel. So
were you working with the college teams or any pro teams as well?
Both. So it was with the first 2 events. First one was at the it was at Buffalo Bills Stadium. So at New Era Stadium. And then the second one was it was actually in Tampa before Rob signed with Tampa. It was when he was retired. So our second event was at the Tampa Bay Stadium. And then we started going to colleges, Arizona State, Florida State. And then it was a full tour that was built out. We were heading to Ohio State, and everything just got shut down at that point.
Were you present at these events yourself?
Yeah, we were all racing each other. And
so it was all the brothers?
Yeah, so we all go, all 5. And then
that's awesome.
There's a big after party as well at the end of it. So after the race, we go to like the local bar that we have an actual
sponsorship or whatnot.
Sponsorships and prizes. So whoever won the race.
How many people would you get signing up for this?
So we were the first couple were a little under 1,000, but in the second year it was really taking off, and it was a couple thousand people, and then we got shut down. So Ohio State was going to be our biggest. It was piling up, and it was kind of that turnover, that breakthrough event. And we're a couple months out still, and it was just rolling in, and we're super excited that we kind of broke through. And
there must be a lot of liability insurance and stuff like that when you deal with stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
A lot of red tape.
Yeah. Yep. So we had a company doing all for us, so that wasn't the obstacles and all that wasn't on us. It was on the company that my brother was working for. So it was all good.
Man.
And that's what
obviously something you're hoping. I don't know. I'll be honest. Let's be realistic. 2021 might not even happen, but 2022 to get back into it.
We were hoping really for June this year, but it's tough, man. It's tough to put
everything's so unpredictable right now, right?
And to spend that kind of money and effort to cancel already 8 events and then try to get people to re-sign up for them.
When you're doing them, you're obviously doing off season. So you're doing it when the campuses are empty, the schools are empty, or the stadiums are empty, right? You're not doing it, or would you do it even?
So the stadiums are really, in college at least, they're only being used maybe 8 times a year. So we're doing split shares, so split rev with colleges, and we're also
which is great for them.
Asking them to use all their assets as well to drive traffic to the event because they're getting paid on it as well. So they're going to send it out to their email list. They're going to try to do it on family weekends, stuff like that, to get more people in.
Yeah.
And it was, for them, they only make money 8 times a year in that stadium. So they're looking for ways to make more money. The donors aren't necessarily coming in like they used to.
100%.
People don't feel as loyal now because there's online and there's all that. And they're pushing everywhere else. So the donorship money is really not there. So they're looking for more ways to make money. So this was just a split rev share with the colleges to help them out as well. And just keep people more engaged, man. It becomes kind of like this annual thing where, maybe as a freshman, you go and run the race, or you bring your parents on family weekend, and definitely a really good idea.
You could build a huge tradition around something like this, especially
Absolutely.
I could see it growing really rapidly with the college sports. Because I mean, from Canada, we don't get that experience. We don't understand that, but having a lot of friends that went to D1 schools, whether it's baseball or it's a different world for you guys. You get a small town, a D1 school that's everything. It's like 60,000 people at a stadium on a Friday night. That's why they call it Friday Night Lights. It's crazy, huh? It's different level. So you went to Duke?
No, I went to I was actually on the way to Penn. So I was accepted into the Wharton Business School, which was kind of, my dad was super excited about. He finally had a kid that was going Ivy League, and
that's a pretty high level school to get into. So your grades must have been really good.
Yeah, so I was grades, and then football definitely helped as well. But at that time, they didn't offer any type of scholarship, academic scholarship at all, or for sports either. So it was either
insane, huh?
Yeah, it was. And so I would have left college with $200K in debt, and my dad said he would front it, but I would have to pay every penny back. So
pure entrepreneur, huh?
Absolutely, man. He wasn't gonna. He was going to make sure he got every penny back too. So, it was something that I wasn't necessarily 100% excited about. It was a great opportunity. I'm sure I would have left with, a great job. And I was really more interested in trying to compete at the highest level for football, but kind of understood that it wasn't necessarily for me. So, I ended up getting a late offer to the University of Maryland because my brother Dan was there, and they lost a bunch of players to academic probation. They were about to go on academic probation as a team, and they also had some incoming guys that just didn't pass grades coming out of high school. So a couple of the running backs didn't make it. They had to go to JUCO instead, or like prep school.
Yeah.
So they had a couple scholarships open. So I got this like 2 weeks before camp started. They offered me a full scholarship, and it was really based on the principle that I better come in and have a 4.0 and help just boost the
average up.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how I got in, man. That's how I got to the
crazy
D1
story, huh? And you make it all, and you made it all obviously to the pros, and you had a career at it, which is, I mean, the chances of even, like you said, getting into a D1 school or into that level is hard enough, but then getting to the pros is another level. And there's a lot of pressure. A lot of people think it's easy having a family name. I think it's the opposite, because you're dealing with a lot more pressure to succeed. Do you find it was more pressure, or it was easier to get to the next level with the family name?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in college it helped me get there. If it wasn't for my brother Dan, I definitely wouldn't have got that scholarship to Maryland. That's for sure. But because he was there, he was performing well. He was super, easy to, get to go to class, and like he wasn't a problem student at all. So he was doing really well in school. So that got me there. Pro level, I think, is 100% different. Pros, they don't care who your family members are. Some of the best, players ever to play in the NFL have sons that have came through, and, they won't even give them a look, because it's all about talent. It's all about making money. It's all about winning games. So I don't think it matters at all at that point. Pressure wise, I think it helped. To say that I guess everyone in my family at that point had been drafted, right? My oldest brother got drafted for baseball. I was the only one that went undrafted. So the one thing I didn't want was to be that one guy who, everyone asked, what happened to you, man? Like, all your bros played in the NFL. Why didn't you? So if you want to talk about good pressure, basically my back's against the wall. I have no other option but to succeed.
I love that.
That was kind of the situation that I was in. So that was my mindset. There was no way I could fail at that point. Like, I had to do everything I possibly could, or I was going to regret it the rest of my life. So when you put that kind of pressure on yourself, every single day, every single second, everything you think about is football and being the best person and best player you can be. So that took me that level. That's how I made it. And if that wasn't there, I'm sure I wouldn't have made it, because there's no way you could push yourself like that. Yeah. Unless you have that kind of pressure on you.
I got two quick little more questions for you. One's a standard question I ask everybody, but you said something there. Your brother got drafted for baseball. What position, what team? Did he ever make it to the pros?
Yeah, so he got drafted into the Angels organization. It was I think it was the 48th round. And, he had back injuries, and he was actually a freshman All-American, and ended up having back surgery. And
what position did he play?
First base, 6'6", 6'7", first baseman.
Boy, huh?
With a big bat, man. So great player, ended up being really good in the minors as well. But, when you're the only guy flying to a game and everyone's taking the bus, but you're flying because your back is so messed up, that's a big issue. So he played well, but, injuries got him for the most part. And, I think it was 6 years, and he continued to play independent ball for fun and stuff like that. But his back just couldn't hold up. So
and that whole, I have a lot of close friends that have gone through that whole, like they got drafted and they're in the minor league system in the baseball world, and they played independent ball. I mean, that's a very rough, not fun. You're making $12,000 or $10,000 a month. You're living in hotels. You're eating out of like it's a shit life. People don't realize baseball in the minors is I don't unless you're super talented, you're going to make the pros. It's not a fun life to live for a few years.
No, man, it's brutal. I think it was $1,000 a week, or maybe $500 a week. And
that's not even bad. I know guys have made $1,200, $1,100 a month.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's brutal, man. You're taking a bus everywhere. You're playing a game almost every day, and
you're staying at the worst hotel, the motels, I should say, most of the time motels, and
with a roommate.
Crazy.
So, it's brutal, man. So
stories, man. You're building your legacy. You're building your story, right? Which I love.
For sure.
Last question. I always ask every guest, like we did today. I just love having a free, full conversation, letting everybody know who you are personally. One question I always ask everybody: if you were to pass today in a few words, how would you want to be described or remembered by your closest friends or relatives?
Man, for sure. I would say, first off, just a good father, for sure.
Awesome.
And just hard worker, man. It's kind of definitely two words I think that I would want to stand out.
I love that. Chris, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. Anything you want to tell our audience before we get going? And on all our show notes, I'm going to put all the links for Chris's, I guess, half business with his wife, the links there, links to the ice shaker, all the information, how to get a hold of Chris through social media and whatnot. So any last minute things you want to tell our audience?
Man, I think it was a good conversation today. Really appreciate you having me on today. And man, for me, I like just, especially the beginning of the year, man. It's been a tough year for sure, but man, tough times don't last. Tough people do. Just keep grinding it out and put a plan down and put it on paper. I think that's been something that's been big for me throughout my life. Is I was always someone that just kind of just winged it, right? I worked hard, but I really never had this game plan and never had the steps to get there. And I think with business and life, and even just like weight loss and goals in the gym, actually write it down on paper and measure it and have a way to measure it. And I think you're going to find a lot more success if you do that.
I love that. That's something, everything I do with family, everything, I always set goals, but I still, every single morning, I'm very routine. I'm up at 4:30 every morning. I still handwrite a do list every day.
I love it, man.
25 years. I still write a hand do list.
Once you cross it off, you feel great, man.
You feel great. You feel accomplished. And whatever you don't accomplish, you slap onto the next day, and just keeps you on schedule. And it teaches you very quickly how, to me, scheduling is all about blocking. Everything is blocked. So I'm past your 45-minute block here, but if you got 40, if I got an hour for something, I'm done. You can't drool on, you can't dwell on it. It just move on to the next block. And that's how you keep ahead of the track and always keep moving forward, because you really understand and appreciate your time and understand the white spots on your schedule. So I appreciate what you said. So thank you so much, brother. It was a pleasure meeting you. Hopefully we'll keep on contact and keep moving forward. And I'd love to have you back anytime you want. And thanks for coming on, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. We got to talk about some more of these gyms too, man.